Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Enough to Keep Going podcast. I think we've started. I didn't get a countdown, but that's okay. Uh, this is episode number 103, and this is our GX show. I had a whole opening, and now it just totally messed me up. Or at least I didn't see it.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm
sorry
just
about that.
sorry.
I don't know what I was thinking.
I just saw you pop up, and I'm
I
like, oh,
you know what it was I was all programmed to intercept you before you started your pre-roll to tell you that you didn't need to fill space. You didn't need to jump the gun and fill space like DBQ did a couple weeks ago. Because I'm like, okay, DBQ is obviously bothered by the long silence at the beginning of the show, so fine, I will go back to doing intro and outro music, which is in a few extra minutes of work when I'm editing and publishing the podcast. Then, just before I turned my camera back up, I was like, I don't need to do that. This is a DBQ who's hosting tonight. It's Osiris Prime.
okay. That's fine. I just didn't realize what was going on. I was like, oh, I don't know what's going on. No, but anyways, this is episode number 103. I think I mentioned that already, for July 16th, 2019. And that gentleman that you just heard was Mr. Agasicles. Agasicles. How's it going?
Pretty good. Yeah, you caught me with the dual mute. So yeah, pretty good. Things have been going well. Actually had a big supporter of mine kind of come out of nowhere and lead this whole social media campaign today while I was at work to try and rally a bunch of new followers to my Twitch channel. So I do appreciate Ravenclaw jumping in and helping me out with that.
Nice. Yeah, I actually saw those tweets when you're tweeting that out. So that was pretty cool. Was super
Oh,
cool.
yeah. Yep.
And also with us tonight is Mr. Swiss Guard, Mr. PlayStation himself. He's got the PlayStation t-shirt on tonight. What's going on, Swiss?
Not much. Ironically, I have no PlayStation games to report on tonight.
That's all right.
But this is the t-shirt I grabbed.
I could follow up maybe into our Pickz PlayZ for later on.
Perhaps. But I need to, when we get there, I need some more clarification on the parameters of the assignment. So
okay. No problem. All right, so like I mentioned, this is our GX show. This is our gaming experience show where we talk about what games we've been playing the last few weeks or so. For me, I think it's a little longer since I was out for a little bit, and I haven't done a GX show in a while. So my list is kind of long, but I should be able to get through it pretty quick. But before that, we're going to go back to our Pickz PlayZ for last time, which was superhero themed. So this week, I believe Friday, we'll get Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 coming out for the Switch exclusive, at least for now. Who knows in the future what's going to happen. But it's going to be coming out. I actually already pre-ordered it, and I should be pre-downloading actually right now, hopefully. So I'll be nice and ready to go. But we wanted to play some kind of comic book superhero theme type of game. Fortunately, Swiss, I guess, because didn't get around to that this time around. They've been busy, excuse me. I did play something real quick. I was actually going to do Marvel vs. Capcom. I can't remember the title of it now. The last one it was that came out, I think Infinite or something like that. But unfortunately, when I went to go play it, I thought I had downloaded on my system, at least the one here in my office here, but it wasn't there. So I ended up downloading that. I was like, all right, I'll download it. In, hour or so or half hour, it'll be done. No, it's 64 gigs, so it took a little longer than I thought it was going to. It was kind of weird that it was so large for a fighting game, I guess. I don't know. But they are 3D model graphics. It's not hand-drawn, so, it's a little bigger. But so I jumped to my backup, which was the Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. I had started that off, I think, earlier in the year, maybe at the end of last year. And I actually started playing that. Kind of fell off of it just because, as usual, there's like tons of games to play. And this is on the Switch. I'm playing it. So I jumped back into that. And actually, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, my son, he actually wanted to co-op it, so we started playing it a little bit. We just got through like the first kind of tutorial level where they're just kind of showing you how everything works. And I was actually a little bit further than that when I started back up. I was actually already into, I think it's supposed to be like New York or like a section of New York or something. Just the way things work out in that game. Excuse me, I had a pop up there on my screen all of a sudden. So I was going to play, actually play through it and do some missions, but I was just kind of rolling around through New York. I think I was like Spider-Man, She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel or at least the new Miss Marvel. Um, she has kind of like, I haven't followed the comics in a while, but I guess she's got like kind of stretchy powers and other kind of powers like that. I don't know, I guess, Cleese, I know you're kind of a comic book guy. Maybe if you know what the new Miss Marvel, her powers are exactly.
Yeah, so you're talking about Kamala Khan, who
Yes.
is the first Muslim comic book character in either Marvel or DC. She's actually hugely popular. She's been like the most critically acclaimed new property character introduced in the Marvel universe, probably about in the last, I would probably say, since Miles Morales.
Okay.
So yeah, very, very significant character.
Nice. Do you know her power set exactly? Do you?
So just before I rolled off of comics, yeah, it originally comes off kind of looking like, well, first of all, she's an Inhuman, and her powers originally come off kind of looking like Mr. Fantastic's.
Right.
But right before I jumped off, what was actually being written into the mythology is that those powers are actuated by her trading mass with different versions of herself at different points throughout time. And that was going to lead to, I guess, probably a larger power set and her capability to kind of cross temporal and dimensional barriers. They're kind of really queuing her up. I am absolutely certain that what's going to wind up happening with that character is that, if you could forgive the segue here from games to the aside of comics, I'm absolutely certain that what's being set up for that character is number one, her and several of these other younger Marvel characters, I'm sure, will become kind of the heirs apparent at some point and eventually kind of supplant the Avengers or become the new Avengers. But I'm also certain they're coiling her and Miles Morales up for there to be a big event that resets the status quo, with her probably coming out as one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel universe. So that's probably in store somewhere in the next few years.
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't really use her all that much. Just there's certain areas where you had to use her, so I kind of jumped into her real quick, and I was kind of fooling around. She kind of, I was able to like shrink and kind of grow a little bit. So, and then like I said, she had like stretchy powers, so that was kind of, she seemed pretty cool. So, yeah, but I was playing through that, and like I said, I just wound up kind of fooling around in that little New York area. So I was just swinging around with Spider-Man, just because I always like to do that. That's fun. I kind of miss. There's no Spider-Man games right now on Xbox or Switch, so it was kind of fun just to swing around that little piece of New York and have that freedom. And just kind of doing a little bit of. I opened up a couple of little story sections, I guess, that were in that little area because I didn't think there was anything, because it's not super huge, but it's kind of a little bit of a playground. You can kind of run around and, like I said, swing around and stuff. But I did wind up opening a couple of I guess kind of side quest missions that you can do there. So, and then like I opened up this one thing, and all of a sudden you see these little dots like appear on the map. So I'm assuming I was able to get to that stuff. I only did one when it actually was something with Miss Marvel, but I couldn't. It was a puzzle type thing, and I couldn't figure out what to do. So I eventually just kind of went out of that and was just kind of screwed around again. But so unfortunately, that was all I was able to do with Marvel Superheroes 2, Swisser, I guess, because I don't know if you've ever played it or even the first one.
I'm just not, I shouldn't say not. I just, the Lego games in general just have been something that I have not delved into.
Got it too. Yeah, well, maybe when, your kids get a little older, that's kind of a good step to get into. Where it's not too, you obviously you always just respawn after you get, after you die or get destroyed or whatever. So it's fairly easy to jump in with a kid. So.
Right.
I've never played any of the Marvel Lego games, and I played maybe way back when a Lego Star Wars game, and we have Lego Jurassic Park or Jurassic World series, but I'm kind of like a Gascles. It's just for some reason they never really clicked with me. Even trying to play with my kids, and I haven't really clicked with my kids either. So I don't know. It's just not our thing.
Yeah, that's cool. No, yeah, I mean, I really like him just because the humor's kind of goofy. I mean, obviously with this one, I always like comic books and superheroes and stuff. So I kind of
what I really like about it from a content perspective is it's the only like real. Well, first of all, in the what seems like a half decade that it's taken Square Enix to pull together an Avengers game, right? Like is it Warner Brothers who's behind the Lego games?
I don't know if they might publish it, maybe.
Okay.
Possibly.
So,
I'll
so
take a
those
look.
guys have pulled together several games, and they're the only games that actually feature like the entire cast of like the MCU at least, and often, as you mentioned, with Miss Marvel, they then branch out and capture like some of these other Marvel characters. So it's really impressive, what they're able to pull together from a character content perspective. And it always kind of makes me question, like, well, why can't other studios do this with like non-Lego variants? So I've always been impressed by kind of what they're able to pull together.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons I wanted to get. One of the reasons I want to get, and I like the Ultimate Alliance games, is because you do have that mix of
Right.
characters in it. So it's it's not just the Avengers and that's it. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to play Marvel vs. Capcom, because there's a bunch of different characters in that one too. So
I can't remember, but did you, when we talked about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 coming, I thought you were saying that was not a game that had caught your interest.
oh no, yeah, I like the first two. I actually played the first two. Beat the first one. I don't think I ever beat the second one, but yeah, I always enjoyed those games.
Okay, very cool.
Which is kind of weird, just because of the game style, because it's kind of like Diablo type of game, looting, you're beating up stuff and people are dropping stuff, and I'd never played those games before, up until when I bought or played Ultimate Alliance, the original Ultimate Alliance.
All right. To me, they were more of a beat 'em up. It was like kind of an advancement in the art of like a Streets of Rage or a Double Dragon kind of game, almost just flipped. Slightly rotated the camera to an isometric view. I don't know. I didn't get as much of a sense of the Diablo-esque feel from it, but I don't know. I kind of smell what you're cooking, though.
Are you gonna get it? Are you looking forward to it?
Well, it's weird.
It's an exclusive.
I know, and I mean, it's probably one of those, because a lot of times what I do with the Switch is I'll skip something in the launch window, but then I'll swing back to it, right? Because we've had this discussion of like, I want to support those types of games coming to the Switch, so that the only thing coming to the Switch isn't just like the mascot games.
Right.
I think I have a number of those that I need to go back and kind of rebuy now that I've got on like a running list. But man, the Switch has had a tough year this year. And we're going to talk about some of these games like you and Super Mario Maker, like during critical release windows where a game has dropped on Switch that might have ostensibly been in my target window. It has come up against some other release that, while I've struggled, a lot of times I've wound up tipping towards the non-Switch release. So Yoshi's Crafted World, I can't remember what came out alongside that, but I struggled about buying Yoshi's Crafted World because I was like, there was another game out on, I think, PC or Xbox that I was really... in fact, I think what it was, I think when Yoshi's Crafted World came out, I held off on getting the Division 2. And then like a couple weeks later, when I went back, the Division 2 was still kind of trending strongly. But it came down to, do I get the Division 2 or do I get Yoshi's Crafted World? We're going to talk about tonight, it came down to, do I get Super Mario Maker 2 or do I get F1 2019? And I went F1. So I fear that my feeling is that when Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 drops, that there's going to be some other thing that's right in my wheelhouse on another platform that is going to be a fight for me to settle on Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you mentioned that, because I was just was going through a couple of Facebook groups that I follow, just comic related and video game related, and they were talking about how we got Ultimate Alliance 3 coming out Friday, and then next week we have Fire Emblem Three Houses coming out.
Okay.
And then about a month or so later, you got Astral Chain, and then I think Daemon X Machina's in there somewhere too. So they're like, oh, I wish they would have grabbed some of those games and kind of spread it out throughout the year. But I think Fire Emblem was actually delayed, so I mean that one probably would have been out a little bit earlier. It
should have been out in like February or March, I think.
Yeah,
delayed it.
Yeah. So, but I mean, Nintendo does that, and I think for the most part, people are fine with that usually, just because they don't mind the delays, obviously. So at least people are starting to learn that now. But it is getting kind of top heavy now, where everything's starting to not just Switch, but I mean, not, like I said, you got all these other systems that you're trying to figure out what you're gonna buy. So It's a little weird. How about you, Swiss? Are you going to get Ultimate Marvel Alliance 3?
No, I'm just not a comic book guy.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, it takes me a long time before I even see the Marvel movies. I just saw Endgame a couple of weeks ago, so it's just not a wheelhouse thing. And when it comes down to it, this month, for example, Fire Emblem is squarely in my wheelhouse, and that's the game I'm going to be targeting. So I've already cashed in some of my credit card rewards for Amazon gift cards to leverage into the Nintendo eShop. So
Nice.
Cool. All right. So actually, Swiss, let's keep you on the mic because we're going to go into our GX playlist now. And you have a game that actually I've been playing too, Dr. Mario World. So
yeah,
how's your experience so far?
Actually positive. Like, Nintendo is pretty much the only company, and this is probably going to like sound really weird, but Nintendo is the only company that can pull me into a mobile game. And that's just because I'm a Nintendo fanboy at heart, and I like the IPs, right? So, for the most part, I couldn't care less about what's in the mobile sphere. But I like little puzzle games like that, and Dr. Mario. So, all right, I'll give it a try. It's free, right? And I was kind of pleasantly surprised. The actual puzzle mechanic, the gameplay itself, is solid. It feels more like there's more happening than I remember from playing like Dr. Luigi and stuff on the Wii U and everything. But they have all sorts of little whiz bang things going on now, like shells that slide around and bombs, and you have viruses hidden in bricks, and they can be locked in ice, and you have to break the ice before you can do the virus. So a lot going on, but I'm still enjoying the actual puzzles. I have learned that you definitely need to leverage the mechanic where the opposite color capsules, so like you might have a blue and a yellow capsule, and if you use it to destroy some blue viruses, that piece of yellow capsule remains and starts to float up, and you can move it around. So a lot of the puzzles, like I found, you're not going to be able to get 3 stars if you don't, take out some viruses with one color. Then you're left with half a capsule, move that to another part of the screen and take out some more viruses. So yeah, it's not super. I mean, it's some of the early ones are pretty straightforward, but decent enough challenge, I guess. I haven't really hit a barrier yet to have the mobile structure get in my way.
Microtransactions.
Yeah, I haven't hit that, but I see like that model like lurking, kind of like it's like kind of like gangrene up in the Dr. Mario, and but so far I've played it where I can ignore it. And the other part, there's a part of me that's like, would I have picked it up if I had to pay? And the answer is probably not. Although we did play with Super Mario Run a little bit. I never did pay the $9.99 on that. And
I just did the first, was it like 3 stages you got or something like that, or 3
yeah,
worlds?
my kids were the ones that wanted it. So Dr. Mario is a little bit more fun for me. So maybe I would have. Like, I think back in there was one game that I did actually purchase on mobile. Like, the only other game I've ever purchased was one of the famous tower defense ones that I can't remember because it's been like 7 years now. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I understand it, I guess. It's just it's just weird seeing, like, the microtransaction-y pieces kind of peppered around the screen. But the game itself, yeah, they did a good job.
So you've obviously played past Dr. Mario games, and I have too, but I've never played just single player by myself. I've always played.
I have played a little bit, not extensively, enough to know like, oh, they added some stuff to this. That's about it.
So, like I said, I only played multiplayer. I always just play with my wife because she really likes the Dr. Mario game. So if you're just doing single player, like on the older games, was it puzzly like this? Because I thought it was just like straightforward. You just, they had the little germs on the screen, and you just got to clear them. But this one seems a little different, where it's like, how they'll have like different patterns and stuff, and you have to figure it out, and you only have like a certain amount of capsules that you can use and stuff like that. Was there anything like that in the older games that you can remember?
And with the caveat that I am not a Dr. Mario super expert or anything like that. I seem to recall it was mostly just clearing the viruses using your capsules and, with the time limit and whatnot, I believe. Okay. But this definitely seems more like, puzzles and triggers and, you kind of need a little bit of strategy working your way around the viruses.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the first things my wife noticed. It was like, oh, this is like really different from what we used to, because we always we played every once in a while, and we'd break it out and play it on. Well, I think I have it on the online store, the Nintendo Network. But we used to play a lot on the Wii U also, and she was like, oh, this is like totally different. So I wasn't sure because I just never, other than multiplayer, I never really played it. But yeah, I mean, I'm having fun with it. I've gotten past, I think you have to get past the first 20 puzzles, and then you can go into versus. I don't know if you've done any online stuff or not, or if you've even gotten that far.
I've gotten far enough to unlock that, but I haven't tried.
You haven't tried it? Yeah, I've only played a couple of games of that. That was fine. I think I lost one and I won one. So I mean, it's a little bit different where they give you like your little section that you have to clear, and then you can actually see the other players' pattern on there too. They have like I think they actually have a different pattern that you're using, I think, if I remember correctly. But yeah, as you clear, as you each clear stuff, you'll throw something on the other person's screen, kind of like Tetris and stuff like that, when it's multiplayer. But it's pretty cool. I like it. And you can play randoms, or you can play, if you friend somebody, you can play against them too. So it's kind of cool. I haven't played my wife yet, so we'll see how that goes.
And one of the new things in Dr. Mario World is that you can select a doctor, and then you have assistants. So who is your doctor and who is, I guess I've only seen one assistant option so far, but
the Goomba.
Yeah.
And I only have Mario right now, so
okay.
He's the only one I've unlocked. I'm assuming that's maybe where you got to pay, maybe, or it might be a little easier to unlock. I haven't really noticed, but I haven't really checked the store or anything. The only time I've gone to the store, it just has like diamonds or jewels that you can buy. I'm not even sure what those are for, so I haven't really gone through all the menus.
You're using real currency.
Yeah, to buy stuff in game. Yeah, but yeah, but I've had a lot of fun with it. I'm playing on Android too, and it's fine for obviously it's not a graphic intensive game or anything like that, but it runs fine. I haven't had any problems with like lagging or anything like that, so it's been fine. All right, let's go to Gascles next. So I kind of talked about one of mine anyways. First up, you have F1, which I believe you were talking about earlier, F1 2019, that you chose over Mario Maker 2.
Yeah, current. And again, everybody doesn't necessarily agree with Metacritic or its procedures or processes or whatever, but I feel like it's a strong enough signal, and it's indicative of the aggregate overall opinion of games journalists around the industry. And so, yeah, I mean, when it came down to buy day, F1 2019 was trending more positively than Super Mario Maker was, which I just found amazing, given that it's like 3 different versions now. Only the Xbox One version was trending better than Super Mario Maker. The PlayStation 4 version and the PC version, I think, were both trending underneath Super Mario Maker. But it became a matter of, do I buy this game that is squarely in my wheelhouse? I wasn't too crazy about the concept of playing it on Xbox, since over the last few years, I've played, I think, almost virtually every version of this since like 2000, maybe 10, maybe 13. And have usually preferred to play it on PC. So the notion of buying it on Xbox, I think I realized today I do have one version that's on PS4. But generally I was very impressed that this particular iteration of the franchise had done so well. But then I was still hesitant about buying it and playing it on Xbox One, but that wound up being the route that I went. So, and it is for me. I mean, as a big racing fan, I mean, it's a great game. They, all the media journalists are rah about the inclusion of the Formula 2 season, which I think it's neat that they added it, but I think the media is largely missing why it's good, and you don't know why it's good until you get into your Formula 1 season and you actually realize that trying to handle a Formula 2 car is actually worse than the Formula 1. So like by the time I got into my Formula 1 start of my career, I actually felt like I had been kind of acclimated to a racing league that was actually more difficult to perform in. Not only in terms of the physics model and controlling the car, but the other thing is that Formula 2 is a spec race, which means all of the cars are engineered exactly the same, regardless of teams. And so it's not like in Formula 1 where like the Williams car that's built by Williams. It's inherently different than the Ferrari. These cars are all basically virtually the same. So you go through that introductory section, which can be a little frustrating, but then you get out to the other side of it and start racing in Formula 1, and you find out, hey, this is actually much easier than the Formula 2 racing series. There's still kind of the problem that the Formula 1 season has historically had, and this is a franchise developed by Codemasters. Also really impressed that Codemasters was able to get out 2 AAA titles in basically I'll give them credit. I think, yeah, because this Formula F1 2019 actually technically came out at the end of June. So this is a development studio that's been able to get out 2 AAA games that reviewed incredibly well with the media in the first 6 months of the year. We have much larger development studios that can't get out 1 game in the first half of the year that actually resounds with the review population out there. So yeah, transitioning from F2 to F1 actually was easy, kind of. The franchise still suffers from you sometimes have these, whenever you go into the practice session, you have like these 6 different engineering programs that you can run, and if you run them and do well enough on them, you get resource points. Resource points are the in-game currency that you use in F1 to buy upgrades and perks for your driver and the car, basically. So when you run those practice programs, like I said, there are 6 of them. The problem has historically been, well, before it used to be like there would be 6 of them, and there was basically no way to pass them. You would just run the program and get like partial points for it or whatever, but you would never actually pass one. This year is a lot better in that you can actually pass these practice programs, and so it warrants spending some time doing them because, like I said, they grant you research points, and that lets you go put on like a better front or rear wing on the car, right? Or get better tires or something because your engineering team got telemetry data from your trips around the track. So so they have that. There also used to be a thing. We lost Prime. So hopefully he will be back. There was also a thing last year where you kind of had this. I never minded it because I felt like the AI played kind of dirty the rest of the time, but you could launch off of the start line and race everyone down to turn 1. And the AI last year was very good about yielding the interior of the track. And so basically you could dive into turn 1, outbrake everyone, and pass like 5 vehicles right at the start of the race, which again I used to be fine with because I felt like that's the compensation for the fact that you can never qualify well enough to actually be anything other than P19 or P20. But so there's still a little bit of that shenanigans in terms of there are just some practice programs that I'm like, you start the practice program and it has a 3-bar thing across the top of like red, green, and then purple. Red for when you're not passing, green for when you're in the mid band, and purple for when you're doing above and beyond. Like the qualification program in the game, like I could never get a time low enough to get any decent telemetry out of the out of the qualification practice program. The fuel efficiency one is tough. The tire wear one is tougher. Like, it's just some of this stuff is still very kind of in voodoo, and it's hard to tell. But overall, it's a great solid game. The physics model is really good. It's amazingly good on Xbox, which normally I just wouldn't think that it could pull off the same fidelity of physics model that that you have on PC, but it actually does fairly well. So pretty happy with it. At the end of the day, happy that I chose that over Super Mario Maker, because I wasn't convinced that I would stick with whatever notion of a single player campaign it is there in Super Mario Maker. So I was like, F1 2019, I know what I'm getting. I kind of know how the career mode works. I understand how the open world map works, so I'll just go with something that I know.
So I'm sorry, and then I kind of jumped off there for a second. I was closing tabs and closing around one. But are you just playing this? Are you just playing this with the controller, or do you have a wheel for this?
I am playing with this with the controller. I will say what it has invoked, because it requires a degree of precision that just the regular Xbox One controller just doesn't provide. It's made me consider a number of things. It's made me consider, do I just go ahead and buy a regular Elite controller now and not worry about the upgrade that's dropping in the fall? Do I go ahead and pre-order that one for the fall? I've also considered getting a custom Xbox controller, either a SCUF or one from Controller Z. I may go one of those routes. In fact, the only reason I didn't pull the trigger on it now is because I've been playing with third-party batteries that are starting, after 4 or 5 years of use, are kind of starting to fall off and don't keep their charge. So before investing in a new controller, I needed to get a planned charge kit that I could use with any of the Xbox controllers, so I could get a fresh battery in here that would actually hold a charge.
Okay. I'm assuming they make wheels, right? Because I don't really see them advertised.
They do. The problem and where I balk at the purchasing decision is nobody makes a wheel that covers Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. It is always, this wheel works with PlayStation 4, and also works with PC. This wheel works with Xbox, but then also works with PC. There's never one that's a convergence across the three. Maybe I've found one or two that are like around the $500 level. But my other problem is with my setup, the big screen TV sits on a computer table, just like all the other workstations in here do. On a PC, that computer table is where I would clamp the wheel down to the desk. If I do that, first of all, there's no room at the same place where I have the large screen TV and the consoles. But even if I did, then I'm sitting like 12 inches in front of like a 40-inch 4K TV. So it's hard to get those things and mount them unless you like invest on one of these like specialized pieces of furniture that has the integrated seat with a clamp bar to mount the wheel on and stuff. It's been tempting, but I've just steered away from that. So right now I'm just playing with like the regular controller. I don't see a way to bring a wheel and pedals into my setup. But I am stalking other variants of Xbox controllers. I'm hoping that maybe an Xbox One Elite, through the manual tuning of it, right, would allow me to dial in like a level of precision that would feel comfortable for me while playing that game.
Yeah.
You steered away from that. I see what you did there.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
Just came naturally. All right. Swiss, did you have any comments on F1 racing?
No, you stole my question. I wanted to get some nice Auguscles hardware talk, and
I got it.
But you got
did.
it.
You did. It was just about custom controllers and not about wheels and pedals.
Yeah. I feel like I did a quick look for Ace Combat 7 for flight sticks, and I feel like it was the same thing. But I don't know 100%, but when you relayed that, I was like, I think this feels I've got some deja vu, but I felt like there was PS4 PSC controller and then one for the Xbox, but I'm not 100% on that.
You're absolutely right. It's exactly the way that it is. And the problem I have there, and why I have not bought a flight control stick for my consoles, is because than the ones that there are out there. The most popular one is the Thrustmaster HOTAS X. I have one of those. It's an okay controller. I definitely don't want two of them because it's not such a good flight control system that I'd be willing to have two. I have one that was compatible with PlayStation 3 but works with PC. I use it as one of my flight control sticks with PC, but it's just not worth like re-upping because it's not a good enough controller that I want to put it on PC.
Well, I mean, and it's specialized hardware. How many games are you really going to use it with? And then now you're like, yeah,
right.
So
and the problem with it is the best flight control systems, right? Whereas there are wheels and pedals that are good enough that are compatible with consoles that are also compatible with PC, where I feel like, okay, that's a good enough product that I'm willing to use it in my PC setup. There's not really like that Thrustmaster HOTAS X is fine, but the other flight control systems I have are much better, but none of them are available with any kind of console compatibility. Speaking of Ace Combat 7.
all right.
Yeah.
Our Prime, did you need to jump in here because we haven't rotated back to you yet? I don't think.
No, that's great. Yeah, we can go back to Swiss. I had talked about one.
Yeah, we'll jump into that. This one will be quick. Just I kind of have been nursing along in the game, but that's why I like it. I feel like the one thing I wanted to touch base on with the game is the missions are consumable size, and I know for some of us that's an important factor. I can come home from work and in that lull of doing some chores, and then the kids are puttering around while we're waiting for the last 20 minutes or whatever for dinner, I can jump on Ace Combat 7 and actually play a mission and then jump back in and continue with the evening routine. It was like a weird 20 to 25 minute, okay, I can get a little bit of story, I can play some arcade, have some arcade flight action, and bounce out again. And so
I'm glad to hear you corroborate that, because I felt like that was better, but I haven't played enough of it to know whether or not that carried far enough into the game.
With the caution of it's not like I'm in mission 20 here. So
no, but I think you're further along than I am. I mean, historically, the problem with this franchise has been it has suffered from the endless mission, where you go in and it's wave after wave after wave after wave, and the next thing you know, you've been in a mission for 40 minutes, and you're you still don't know, is this the last stage coming out? But I felt I agree that I felt like the missions were more. I still feel like they're not quite bite-sized, but
no, I would say the waves aspect is accurate. I was doing a mission where it's all right, you need to go out, and it was one of the in this case, I was kicking myself because I didn't pay attention to really the debrief, and I spent some money on the plane, and I was like, crud, I should have bought the A10 because it was a ground mission, pounding the ground. But halfway through the mission, they're like, oh well, they're counterattacking with the drones, and then it was more air-to-air stuff. So my kind of jack of all trades fighter ended up being an asset. But yeah, there's always, it feels like each mission there's always two parts to it: the initial part, and then the surprise when you're in the your encounter with the enemy. What is the famous quote? Plans never survive the encounter with the enemy, or something like that. So
yeah, plans never survive the initial encounter with the enemy.
Okay.
Or well-laid plans, maybe.
But and as kind of brain dead as some of the story aspect is, it's I'm in a penal colony, but they use us for fighting air combat.
Yeah. And you mentioned before, it does this very Japanese storytelling thing where it tells the story of a character, and then the next mission you're not that character, and you're why did you present me all this? So exactly. The question I wanted to ask you about this is, in very Gran Turismo-like fashion, what is now technically by math less than even Gran Turismo like fashion, as we're now getting like only one iteration of Gran Turismo every console and a half. But this is the only iteration of Ace Combat you're going to get this console generation, and it comes now at the end. Is it a satisfying experience from a I needed an Ace Combat game perspective?
Now I'd say yes. After the first mission or two, I would have said no. And I was thinking, I feel like I'm riding too much on nostalgia. But as I've been consuming it, like in these, like, okay, I can do an Ace Combat mission for the next half hour and, be okay. I don't feel like I'm having a grind on it. So yeah, I get my fix. And the thing that I rediscovered, looking back at the nostalgia angle, is that the formula works for what it is. If I want my fix of arcade style air-to-air combat and get to see some awesome planes and in 4K, I'm Air Force brat, so that's cool. But this isn't a franchise with a lot of meat on the bone, I guess you could say. Like, it is what it is. If you want that, it's great. But it doesn't go, there's not depth beyond what Ace Combat is. So am I going to be satisfied with it? Yeah, I'm not going to finish Ace Combat 7 and be like, where's my DLC? Where's my Ace Combat 8? In a year or two, if they're like, hey, Ace Combat 8's coming, I'll be like, yeah, I haven't played Ace Combat in a while. That'll be fun. So.
Nice. All right. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to do a couple quick ones right here. And other than Dr. Mario World, all my other games here have been on the Switch lately. First one's up is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. I had been playing that on and off for a while now. I finally got to the town where you could actually you can transfer Pokemon from Pokemon Go into your Let's Go Pikachu game. So I did that a few times, and it took me a long time to get there because there's a lot of back and forth in that game, which really annoys me. It's one of the reasons I really never really like Metroid and those type of games, just because there's a lot of back and forth, and you do this and that. And it's like, I just want to let me just get to the town, please. There's always some kind of literally like block in the road that you're traveling, like a giant Pokemon, or there's like a fence, or not a fence, but like this grass, like tall grass tree that you can't, you don't have the power to cut yet because you haven't gotten to that ability. So finally got past that, and I'm doing that, and still having fun with that. I was kind of playing it on and off the last few months, but then I saw some more Pokemon Shield and Sword, which is coming out at the end of the year, I think November, I believe, or December maybe. So I kind of got my my juices flowing again. I wanted to jump back into a Pokemon game other than Pokemon Go, so play something a little bit more substantial. So I was jumping back into that, and then I was also still playing Civilization 6, which was kind of a holdover from when we did our Pickz PlayZ from a couple months ago, maybe, or a month and a half ago, where we're doing like kind of the historical Pickz PlayZ. So I was continuing to play that. That was another one I was kind of playing on and off, and kind of dropped off a little bit on, and been picking it back up. Still having fun with that. I like the game. I think I might have mentioned this in the last show, maybe a couple shows ago, but just the taking turns thing just kind of gets on my nerves a little bit sometimes, and you can kind of fidget with the the speed of the game and how it plays, but I'm still enjoying it right now. There's nothing else. There's no real-time strategy games as far as I know on the Switch, at least nothing that's caught my eye. So this is kind of scratching that itch, at least for now. And it does help, and I think I had mentioned this to Agascles during our chat. You got the little help and hint menus that pop up when you're playing, so that helps a lot because I'd never played a Civ game before, so I'm having a ton of fun with that now. So now that I know what I'm doing, because I could just mouse over, cursor over to the to an object, and it just pops up a little hint real quick. So that's kind of nice.
So I heard you mention this on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was one that I wasn't on about, and I'm gonna poke my finger in your eye a little bit about that you get annoyed at a game that pauses during the turns. But my pushback was, but that's a genre. That's like a different I guess my feeling is like I don't like there are genres that I don't like, but I acknowledge a specific design element within that genre as, oh, well, that's that genre, and then I say that I don't like that genre. I just thought it was peculiar, the disdain for that specific design element that is very much very. Sorry, that's more.
Computer's self-aware.
Echo Dot has been bent out of shape about being disconnected from Wi-Fi since I changed the Wi-Fi SSID and passwords, and haven't had any need for that particular AI recently. But she really wants to get back online. So and she just randomly pops up frequently during podcasts and live streams to express that opinion. So yeah, I just thought, but I was like, so like I didn't like harvesting, right, in RTSs right back in the day, but my sense was, so therefore, but I don't like RTSs. Well, why don't you like RTSs? Because of the harvesting. I didn't find the harvesting annoying if it was in an RTS, because I'm like, that's a specific design element for that genre.
Right. Well, I mean, then like I said, this is the first time I usually didn't play these turn-based kind of games before, and that's when I kind of started playing it. And I was like, oh, this is a little different. And like I said, it's just annoying. It's not like I'm stop playing it or anything like that. But and this is, to be honest with you, when I started back up in Civ 6, I was playing for like, once I found these hints, I mean, I was playing for like 2-3 hours straight. So it was kind of that tail end, like that second half where it's like, oh man, I gotta wait for the turn again. And it's like,
but what I'm
gonna go ahead, Gaskelis.
But what I'm picking at maybe a little is I don't think that you're annoyed at the fact that you have to wait for. I feel like what you're actually conveying is that you don't like turn-based strategy games, because that design element of the game pausing, it is inherently a part of that genre. Without that, it's not a turn-based strategy game. It's something else. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
But I still have fun with it.
I was just
let me just say that. I just said it was annoying. I didn't say I hate it, for one thing. It's not like I like burn. Well, I can't burn it digital, but like if it was like a cartridge that I had, I picked it up and snapped it in half or anything like that. But yeah, no, I mean, just after a while, it just kind of gets on my nerves a little bit. But I still, I'm still playing it. And I do like how, and I'm sorry, so hold on just a second. I do like, and like I said, I never played this before, so I don't know if this is in all the games, but you get the little historical facts on, from the actual civilization to just like mining. Hey, this mining started, back in whatever BC or so, you get those little historical things, which I think is kind of cool. So I kind of sit there and read, which is probably one of the reasons I was on playing it for like 3 hours, because I'm sitting there reading those things as I unlock them. Hey, there's democracy and there's all these other things. I'm just reading about it. So Swiss, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna I prefer the turn-based just because it allows me time to think, and I feel like with RTSs, it becomes so much about like click speed and knowing like exactly. Yeah, that doesn't appeal to me as much. But my question for you is: you said you're getting annoyed about it. Are you annoyed from the get-go, or is it just in Civilization 6's case, the late game just gets mired because there's so much going on, so the turns drag out with, it's just, I know that I remember, I haven't played Civ 6, but I remember in some of the past Civ games, I'd have a lot of fun building up, and then the late game just kind of gets to become a chore. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think what it is those turns where, it's my turn and I can't really do anything because I got something that's waiting for like 10 turns or something. So I got, all right, so I move my guy like one section, and then it's the end of my turn. I just end the turn because I can't really do anything else. So that's probably where it happened, because I am starting to get to those points where I'm waiting for these things and it's just taking so long. It's like 10 to 20, sometimes even 30 turns that I got to wait before something unlocks. So, and I know there's probably ways you can speed that up, maybe, and maybe the different civilizations can, they have the special ability to do that, or just other things that I haven't found yet. Maybe that speeds that up. So
well, but even then, you're gonna, right? Even when you find those things, there are gonna be times where you don't want to do that. Like I get it. I mean, now I understand a little bit better, because I think, Swiss, what you're saying, the reason it bogs down at the end game is because in the end game you get to that point where you're past the Industrial Revolution and you've gotten into digital technology, and like things get built a heck of a lot faster. Because what bogs the game down, I mean, the elements both of you are mentioning is, to me, what bogs the game down in the end game is that all the cities are producing like a thing, like one, every single turn. Like things don't take like 5, 6, 10, 66 turns anymore.
Yeah.
So every turn in the late game, number one, you have at that point like 20, 30 something cities, and every one of them is producing a thing each turn. And so you're getting that notification thing of a tank was built here, a building was built there. You go through that 23 times. And then Prime, what I feel like you're saying is it's not even necessarily the regular turn progression. It's that point where you've got a small number of cities, they're building things. All those things take like 10 turns, and so you have to sit there for like 10 turns where you don't even have like a move, so to speak, and you're just sitting there waiting for the computer to think and then hitting end turn. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and I'm kind of stuck on right now. I kind of got one of my kind of not trackers. What do they call it? Like the scouts. Somehow I got them like trapped between like a mountain and like another civilization. I can't click into civilization, otherwise I go to war with it. I'm like, well, how much to get them out of there?
Right.
I'm like, do I just kill him? I mean, can I just like say, hey, I'm gonna suicide you or something? I mean, I don't know what to do with the guy now. He's just kind of stuck there. So
in Civ 4, you could kill your own units for, I guess, reasons like that. I don't know.
yeah, I don't. I haven't. Yeah, you have those little options on the bottom. I just haven't checked them all.
Cost money, so there are ways that you could kind of like.
Can I sell them? I mean, I don't know. Is that possible?
Money or purge your own Civ for financial reasons, which seems rather tyrannical. But
Yeah. But,
real quick question. Sorry, if you have one more point on Civ, I had one real quick question to swing back to Pokemon before.
Oh, no, I was done with Civ.
Okay. Pokemon Sword and Shield, when it comes out, what happens to Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu? Do they get lost to the dustbin of history?
Yes, it's going. They're going right into my. No, I think I got those digitally, so I might go back and play it every once in a while, but more than likely I'll probably just focus on either Sword or Shield. So whichever one I get, I'll probably get Sword, but yeah, I'll probably focus mostly on that one. My son, actually, he'll be able to play both of those too, because the way I have the Switch is set up. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm saying that now, but it's probably just going to be Sword Shield from whenever I buy that then on. So we'll see. Let's see here. Those are my quick points. So let's go back to Gascles. You're playing a little bit of more Xbox One. Playing Trials Rising.
Yeah, so this was the late February release from Ubisoft, I believe the 4th game in the franchise. So I played a little bit of it, or a good chunk of it, when it initially released, and haven't really had an opportunity to get back and revisit it. So I spent some time doing that over the last couple of days. I'm definitely hitting that point where one of the things I was concerned about is once I figured out, right, that I didn't have to get bogged down always trying to get a gold for every event. Getting a bronze the first time through is fine, and that the real value added in this game is getting through as much of that as you can, and then you're leaving yourself some redos to do. So I hit that point last night, actually, with about an hour and a half left of gameplay or so. And so I had to, in order to I hit a wall in terms of progression. And so what I had to do was go back and start rerunning tracks to get those awards over again. But even doing that, it's still, it's a chaos simulator. And that's what kind of makes it fun and interesting is, in particular, I had a few people hanging out in my stream, and there was a point where I just got rocked by like a signal overhang arm sticking out over a train. So you're driving, jumping from car to car on the train, and then you take your eyes off for like a split second, and the next thing you know, you just get completely taken off the bike by this steel framework hanging out over the track. So so all in all, it's been pretty good. The grind of it can kind of get irritating. I was talking to some other people about it, and we often talk about how Destiny 2 is a grindy game or the Division 2 is a grindy game. I'm like, people who think that know nothing about Trials Rising, like it is the textbook definition of just like sometimes you have to race a track like 15, 20 times over, and it doesn't make any sense to stop it, to move on to another track because then you've got some familiarization and immersion on that track. So so I'm starting to hit that point that may mean that I may bounce off of it. I may be hitting the point where I can't sit and play it for like 2 or 3 hours at a time. It may hit that point with me where I go, okay, I just need to set this aside and I'll just come back to it like for 30 minutes at a time. So that's probably a little bit of what I'm going to be vetting tonight as far as its staying power goes.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I've been playing it. When I jump on it, just like clear out a few tracks and I'm done. I'll jump into something else. So yeah.
Right.
I have you. I think I'm still in Europe, which is like the second level, I guess, if you want to say. Does it get like super hard once you get past that, or I don't know if you're past that? Yeah.
So I'm about in like the third major stage. So the first thing that unlocks is North America. Then the second thing that unlocks, I think, is a European circuit. And then now they just opened up, like, I think what is in the African continent circuit. Oh no, maybe I'm on the fourth one because they opened up a Southeast Asia one, and then a or Southwest Asia one, and then now somewhere in some desert, I think.
Desert.
Yeah, but yes, each of them is progressively more difficult, and the key thing that I noted with this one was there's a lot more moving obstacles, so it's a lot more of the static ones were hard enough, but now you get a lot more things, not only moving, but you get a lot of like false floor dropaways. So you'll get a lot of like you drive over like a section of track to get to a 360-degree thing. So you've just driven over this section of track, you go a little further, get into a 360-degree thing that sends you into a loop, and where it pulls you back to is here. And just as you're about to hit this thing that you drove over, it swings away and drops out. And now it's a path down into, some underground track. So there's a lot of that where the obstacles and the challenges move around on you, which causes definitely a different and more challenging dynamic.
Yeah, it does throw you for a loop, and then all of a sudden it opens up and you're underground. I've noticed, I don't know, maybe it's just the Switch or I don't know, my TV or something. I think I mostly played this handheld actually, so it's probably just on the Switch. But it seemed like those underground levels seem really super dark. Like it's really hard to see anything under there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just my brightness. Maybe I got to put the brightness up or something. I don't know, within the game or within the system itself. But
yeah, I would definitely get that. Or I haven't any problem. But again, I'm playing it, sitting on Xbox One, watching it on a big TV. So
yeah. All right. So I think we had a few more here, but we're gonna jump ahead to go to our Pickz PlayZ. We'll try to swing back around to maybe the next GX show to talk about Banner Saga and Snipper Clips from Swiss. And I had Red Faction and Mario Maker, which I have played a little bit of both, so I'd like to get a little bit more into there. So, and I guess Cleat had the Division 2, but we'll get into that next time. So Pickz PlayZ assignment for next time. Maybe not necessarily a certain game or theme here, but we're going to actually go into console here again. I think we've done that before. So we're going to go back and I don't know. I think, Gascles, did you pitch this originally? Or was that DB? I can't remember. In the Flock chat.
I formulated it, but it was just a shooting from the hip kind of thing that I threw out to get something on the agenda quickly.
Okay. So we're going to go back to console that we maybe have been ignoring or neglecting as of late, and this is as of I don't know, past month or two or so. I mean, it doesn't have to be like obviously like a Super Nintendo. That's obviously we've probably all ignored for now, but we'll go back and play that console. Was there any certain game or just the console itself as far as what we're going to play? Because this kind of ties into what I was going to do, and I'll go first here because I've been pretty much ignoring the Xbox One for months now, really. I mean, obviously my list this week was all Switch, other than Dr. Mario, that was mobile. So I actually wanted to go back and playing a lot of Fortnite, so I haven't been really playing any other shooters. So I wanted to kind of go back into the Xbox and play Black Ops 4 again because I haven't played that in a while, and maybe even jump into PUBG because it's been even longer since I've played that game. So and maybe get a little bit more into Marvel vs. Capcom since I've actually downloaded it now. So we'll see. But those are probably the games I'll be playing on the Xbox One since it's been neglected. It's been collecting dust here. But any thoughts for you guys?
No, I'll be going back to the PlayStation 4 to revisit Destiny 2, and those are definitely the consoles that have been sitting around not getting anything. In fact, when I was hooking up my Xbox One to play this trial stuff, I found like my PlayStation 4 Pro, like the power supply cord had just become like disconnected at some point, so it's been sitting completely offline for like the better part of who knows how many months. So it's a good assignment for us to go bat some cleanup.
Yes, definitely. Swiss, I know you had some questions potentially from.
I was going to say, like, how far back is the consoles under consideration?
I don't think there's any. Well, I mean, so the point of it is
consoles normally be in your rotation, but
right, yeah. So the point of this was not to go out to your garage and get like your Intellivision, right? Because it's
TurboGrafx.
Right, because it's been sitting out there. The point is, hey, of your stuff you have now, which one is the one that you've been neglecting the most? That has probably releases on it, like in this year, right, or the tail end of last year that you should put some more time in on.
So it's probably going to be PlayStation, if only because I've been playing. I mean, this year my PC gaming has like really eclipsed everything for me, and I've supplemented that with Nintendo franchises that I love. So PlayStation 4, unless there's like a big kind of exclusive-ish release, although with Sekiro it's not. I haven't really been playing it. I played God of War, and I beat that earlier this year, and then I've been playing Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. I've been chipping away at Sekiro. So there, within the last 2 weeks, I've played my PlayStation 4, but it's definitely the least played. I have brought out and hooked up my PS3, so I was kind of thinking I might go back that far. And then I also considered perhaps I will play a PS4 remaster of a PS3 game that I've been meaning to play.
You're getting very meta now.
So it will probably be something Sony.
Okay, good. Yeah. And then I didn't hear anything from. Well, I guess we just threw it out, so DB didn't say anything. So we'll figure out. He'll probably chime in too. I'm assuming.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So I think that is it, gentlemen. We've gone past our hour mark here. Any last words on anything? I just want to say Warner Brothers does publish the Lego games. So and it's Traveler's Tales that actually develops them.
Okay. So no, I didn't have any further questions for tonight.
All right, cool. Swiss, anything? Nope. All right. So join us next week when we get back into our deep dive on the 23rd with Ageskles, myself, and DBQ. We'll go through the news items from the past week or so. So that's it, gentlemen. Thank you for doing this wonderful episode number 103, which maybe didn't start out also well, but we'll get it straight again next time, at least when I'm hosting. So for Mr. Swissguard and Ageskles, I am Osiris Prime, which I don't think I even mentioned at all this episode because I got all flustered there. Play those games, jump in there. If you have any comments, comment on the YouTube channel and come back next week. Thank you and good night.